Awesome. Welcome, everyone. We'll get started here in about 30 seconds. Let some other people join in. Just drop this into the Discord channel. Um, cool. Yep. So people should be coming in now. Awesome. Yeah, really excited to have Arjun joining us from the Polygon team. I know they've been hard at work, busy building some really cool stuff and change from Matic network over to Polygon. So yeah, really excited to hear everything that you have that you're working on and how to scale our Dapps with Polygon. Really want to thank the Polygon team too for just being amazing ecosystem partners with us and working diligently with the Chainlink team to get VRF out, which was a lot of fun, and I know people are really excited about. And so yeah, really excited to hear what you have to say. And if you have questions throughout, definitely drop them into the YouTube chat, and then we can maybe do a couple questions towards the end.
Oh, sure thing. Thanks, Keenan, for having me. And of course, we're excited to work with the best Oracle service out there. So yeah, it's been a crazy ride, man. Can't say that it's been. Just for the last, I would just say 3-4 months. The markets have been on fire. So many things have happened. Tesla has put in money to Bitcoin, so it's been like a really crazy time for everybody, right, in the blockchain space, including the Chainlink team as well. Who's also scaling extremely rapidly, and of course, for us, it meant, when we looked at the future of what Ethereum is going to look like, what the scaling is going to look like, and what the blockchain of tomorrow is going to be, the one which we keep having these panel discussions about, right? Like how are we going to get the next billion users into blockchain, which we've been having since 2017. So we really thought really hard about those problems. Yeah. And we came up with like some interesting sort of approaches and solutions, and what we feel offers sort of the best way, not just for developers, but for users as well. To have sort of the best experience when it comes to either developing or interacting with the apps. So I'm going to just quickly jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen. So I've just put together, a few slides which should give some more flavor to what we're looking to build, and will hopefully explain some more things about Polygon. So yes, Polygon, previously Matic Network, and what I want to really talk about is how to build scalability apps with Polygon, but also, just explain what I just talked about just now is what is our approach towards blockchain and scalability. Just to move, so just going to quickly cover a little bit about Polygon, right? So of course, when we started in 2017, when we were still Matic Network, right, the primary thinking around how scalability has to, how you need to solve for something like scalability, right? So I'm sure some of you who've been involved in blockchain since that time remember the CryptoKitties episode, right, where you had one app which pretty much clogged the entire Ethereum network, and that's when serious questions were asked, like, how do we create something which is more scalable? How do we take this amazing ecosystem, which is the most diverse, the largest ecosystem out there, and how do we make it better? And the solution at that time, was what was the prevalent thinking around scaling was around plasma. So Vitalik came up with this approach of using plasma technology as a way. And just as a pictorial representation, you can see what essentially was the solution. Is that is essentially what you do is that every let's say few blocks, what you would do is you would Merkle root the transactions, and you would place a checkpoint onto Ethereum. So it's sort of in a way of compressing transactions, putting a checkpoint onto Ethereum, and what that would ensure is that all your assets would be secured by Ethereum security. And what that meant is all your NFTs, all your liquidity, or everything which is there on the chain would be secured by Ethereum security, and which is important, right? Because this is a little different from a pure side chain approach. And this is more like a commit chain, where you're committing transactions onto Ethereum. And so this was the prevalent thinking around the time. This is also our core technology, which we've developed for the past 3 years, and all our dApps are deployed on this hybrid Plasma POS chain. So we use Plasma technology to ensure asset security and scalability. And we the consensus mechanism on our network, on our chain, was the proof of stake, or rather is proof of stake, right? So we have over 90 validators, who making us, hands down, one of the most decentralized L2 networks, more decentralized than some L1 networks as well. And of course, this is our sort of core offering, our hybrid plasma POS chain. But again, this is back in 2017, right? So what happened since then is that this solution, which we came up with, kind of exposed another problem statement of sorts, right? So what we kind of realized were four very important things. And let me just put this video right here, right? So number one is that there is no one size fit all scaling solution, right? So ever since 2017, we've seen, now the Plasma was the thinking around that time, but we've seen optimistic rollups, ZK rollups. We might see some other kind of scaling solution in the future as well, right? So different projects have different needs, and thereby, and every solution has its own advantages, disadvantages, trade-offs. So multiple solutions are most likely going to coexist in the future. Also, like I said, the ever-changing L2 landscape, right? So new innovations in scaling make the old ones obsolete. So we kind of realized Plasma is a good example of that. How Plasma essentially, is sort of took, sort of went to the background, and now the entire conversations around optimistic rollups, ZK rollups, and how that can be used to scale Ethereum. At the same time, what we realized is that, okay, fine, there are multiple techniques, the future is going to have multiple scaling solutions, great, but there is no proper formalized framework, right, which offers these multiple solutions. So as a Dapps developer, right, you need to go to 4 different places to figure out, which solution works best. You need to do all of that research, and mainly forks of proper implementations were created, and this essentially led to scattered and biased information out there. And this is kind of what you also see now. There's a lot of information, but a lot of misinformation as well regarding many of these techniques. And at the same time, we love Ethereum. We feel Ethereum is the best ecosystem. So we had, competitors, sort of this never-ending list of Ethereum killers being developed. And these essentially also came up because of the scalability and the cost problems of the Ethereum network, right? So what did we do about this, right? So what we came up is what we call the Polygon solution, right? So essentially, the idea was to create like the Swiss Army knife kind of solution for Ethereum scaling and infra development. And of course, we looked at the two major types of solutions, which is essentially the ability to offer L2 scaling solutions. So this could be any kind of L2 scaling. This could be ZK rollup chains, optimistic rollup chains, shared security chains, Plasma chains, if you might want that. And at the same time, also the ability to sort of spawn standalone chains as well. So suppose, let's say you're an enterprise company, right, and you don't want to use a public ledger, then you should have the ability to spawn your own chain and put validators, right, maybe your own validators around it and run it, right? Also interoperability, right? So you have all of these different chains. How do you ensure communication between them to offer a very seamless kind of experience? And at the same time, this kind of like solution where you aggregate all of the different L2 scaling techniques, also allow standalone chains to exist, sort of creates this fully fledged multi-chain system, right? So kind of like a polka dot on Ethereum, if I may say so. And of course, what we've done is that we've kept Ethereum in the middle, right, which is your tried and tested technology, been in development for 4 or 5 years, is like I said, the largest and the most diverse ecosystem out there, most amount of documentation, tutorials, and essentially build sort of this layer around it, right, which has all of these different kind of scaling techniques. And thereby, what you do is that you created like now this infrastructure where the developer gets to decide, right, which is the best solution for their DApp, and essentially deploy that. So instead of we getting into these Twitter flame wars about which solution is better, this is better, that is better, people are arguing. Why not provide an infrastructure which has all of these solutions, and then the developer decides, right? Because you are developing your app, you know what is best for your user, right? You understand the domain and the business use case, so you should decide which is the best scaling solution. And from our side, it is our responsibility, and as an infra provider, to provide that infrastructure. So this was kind of the thinking around Polygon solution. This is what we're building. This is what will be the part of the Polygon SDK, which will be coming out very soon. So yeah, so this is a bit about Polygon. And of course, what we've seen is phenomenal amount of support from the community. We have about 100 plus dApps onboarded. Our TVL is growing on a daily basis. A number of transactions, all organic, again, are growing on a daily basis. And of course, we're fast emerging as one of the fastest growing DApp platforms for Ethereum scaling, amongst the, as a de facto platform for NFT, gaming, and DeFi, all kinds of use cases. Exponentially growing developer community. So we're very strong on Twitter. We've got a big Discord community as well. And at the same time, we have lots of big, I would say, or very popular dApps using or rather deployed on a platform like Poly Market for prediction markets, QuickSwap which is an exchange over the whole $100 million of liquidity, Decentral Games, Now, of course, Atari is now building, casino in Decentraland with decentral games. So, interesting synergies are coming about, when your partners work together. So lots of interesting things happening. And essentially, I talked about scaling, and so what do I mean by scaling in terms of metrics? So if I would just boil it down, essentially what our chain, up to our core technology, which is our Plasma POS chain, allows you to do is it gives you a 2-second block time. So your transactions are almost instantaneous. So essentially, for example, you click on something, 2 seconds, your transaction is final. We are EVM compatible, so 100% EVM compatible. We use the same ERC style assets, so there's no custom token standard. It's the same as Ethereum. So we see ourselves as a natural extension of the Ethereum ecosystem. At the same time, like I said, we checkpoint transactions onto Ethereum, so all your assets are secured by Ethereum grade security. And of course, when you have this kind of a network where your transactions are very fast, at the same time, the transactions are extremely cheap, right? So typically on our network on Polygon, you can do approximately, I would say, about 2 million transactions for $10. Like the average transaction cost is something like on average $0.00004. It's practically free, right? So when you have a network which is extremely fast and at the same time extremely cheap, what that does is it brings the focus back onto user experience, right? And this is extremely important, and I cannot stress this enough, that if you want to get the next million users onto blockchain, people who are used to using, let's say, Uber or Netflix or any of those other kind of Web2 technologies, you need to give them the same kind of user experience. Like you cannot bring them into blockchain, excite them about this technology, and then have them wait like 30 minutes for transactions. Like that's not going to help adoption. That is not going to help the blockchain ecosystem as a whole scale. So what we realized is that we need to create the kind of infrastructure which would have, which would create a great user experience, and then working backwards, if you see what we've built, all of it makes sense. Now, just to move ahead again, just quickly pour over our core team. So, of course, our core team from Matic Network is still there, which is Jayanti, Sandeep, and Anurag, and of course Mihailo, one of the the founders of the Polygon concept, has also joined us as a co-founder. And of course, we have some amazing advisors who've been working with the Ethereum ecosystem for a long time, and who've come on board to help us sort of build this sort of scaling platform of the future. People like Hudson James, Ryan Sean Adams from Bankless, Anthony Sassano, John Lilich. And of course, many more amazing advisors, who are sort of constantly helping us in this journey. Now, just to move ahead quickly, and talk about some of the things on the developer side, right? So we always see ourselves as a developer-first platform to make it easy for developers. So just talk a bit about what's happening on the DeFi side. We have like pretty big DeFi applications launched. So we have QuickSwap, of course. I talked about Polymarket as well, which is one of the most popular prediction markets out there. SportX, which is extremely popular, the app for for sports betting. Talk about gaming and NFTs. You have Neon District, Decentral Games, Mega Cryptopolis. OpenSea now also has it'll soon be live. Awagochi Big Bang launch, and an amazing, very addictive game, very addictive, amazing game. Comet Games as well. Zrun, I think it's hidden by my video, but yeah, right there. Zrun, very interesting and very popular game as well on the gaming and the NFT side. And of course, one of the reasons why many of these big names have chosen us and have chosen to deploy on our network is because essentially, if you're an Ethereum developer, you are automatically a Polygon developer. Essentially, everything remains the same. All your tooling remains the same. All your sort of, let's say, your oracles, all of your, let's say, your infrastructure around meta transactions, like all of that literally remains the same. It's easy, again, to move assets from L1, L2, back to L1, or whether you want to send liquidity like ERC20 tokens, if you want to send NFTs, ERC721, ERC1155. You can do awesome things like you can mint on let's say the Polygon network because it's so inexpensive, and then you can transfer those NFTs back to L1 if you so choose, if you want to have access to some of those other different marketplaces. At the same time, you can send liquidity to and fro to sort of take part in all of the other DeFi, which is building on the Polygon network as well. And of course, like I said, 100% EVM compatibility, right? So anything which works on Ethereum pretty much works on Polygon out of the box. And of course, Chainlink is there as well. So, so all sorts of interesting, DeFi products. If you're looking to build, if you're looking for price feeds, if you're looking for VRF, so if you're looking for random number generation, we have Chainlink VRF as well. on our network. So I encourage you to play around with that and come up with interesting Dapps. And of course, so unfortunately, my solutions lead couldn't make it today. But what I wanted to just quickly do is just sort of just play a short video. Yeah. So essentially, what we're going to do in this, in this video is just quickly walk you through how easy it is to deploy on Polygon network. We actually internally call it like the 30-minute challenge. It's actually that easy. Also, we're going to also talk a little bit about meta transactions as well, how you can use that to create a very seamless experience. I hope you can hear the audio as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly play this video, and all of this is there on YouTube. You can check it out as well. But I'll just quickly play this, and but before I do that, I just wanted to check if you're able to hear the audio. So let me just play that.
You have made your smart contracts. You don't need to change anything because we are
Can you hear the audio? Can I just check on the Q&A?
Yeah, it's a little quiet. I don't know if
it's a little quiet.
Turn it up a little more.
Okay. Let me try and do that. Okay, right here. Let me play that.
Totally. For that particular reason, I'll be giving you a small example of how this particular thing works, right? And we'll be going through this whole thing. I would encourage you guys to just follow along. But if you cannot, I would suggest you, after this video is recorded, just try it out yourself as well. How easy it is to actually go ahead and deploy on Matic networks, right? So first,
Well, I think the volume disappeared there.
on the Robson networks, you guys can see I'm on the Robson networks.
I'm sorry, is the volume low?
It came back.
It came back. All right, I'll just play that. No, so yeah, okay. I'll just go mute and I'll play that.
Right now, I'll just go ahead and deploy. Click on deploy, like what we do, right? So okay, just let me shift to inject Web3 and deploy, right? I have to sign in with MetaMask, give so much amount of fees for the Ethereum, sign the transaction, and it will be confirmed in some amount of time, right? This is how normally we deploy on the on the Ethereum networks. Propsten is a test network with the Ethereum networks, and this is how you do it. Now I'll be doing the same thing on the Matic network. See, the contract and the code remains the same, but I'll be changing the RPC URL and doing the same magic on the Matic networks, right? So let's see how it goes. First of all, I have to shift to custom RPC, right? Select Matic testnet, right? I'm doing it on the Mumbai networks. Okay, so our Mumbai network is the testnet of the Matic networks, right? I'll shift to RPC Mumbai.matic.today. Chain ID is 8001. It is Matic, and the Explorer we have is Mumbai.explorer.today. Save it, right? And now I have to reload it. All right. Yeah. So now I'm on the Matic networks, and I'll be, I'll not be changing any code or anything, but I'll be deploying on the Matic networks. By the way, whatever, network information I gave, you can find it right over here, network information, Mumbai testnet, or, this is all that was required, Explorer and things like that. So just go ahead and check that out. Very, very easy, very confined document, whatever is required is there inside, right? So just go to storage.sol. Again, I'm on the Matic network from right now. Right, and I'll just go ahead and deploy, right? Let me just shift to inject Web3. I'm on the Matic networks. See, 8001 chain ID is for Matic networks. I'll just go ahead and deploy it. All right, inject Web3. Let me just compile this. Okay, compiled. Deploy, and I'll be able to deploy it. So one particular question that you might have is, how will you get the faucets and related things, right, that are required for testing things? So this is our faucet.matic.network, right? I'll just shift to a particular account which has less amount of Matic, right? And click on here, and I'll be able to get whatever faucets are required, right, for testing things. So, so we have created all the infrastructure that is required for actually, doing things. So you can see here as well, we also have a block explorer, right? Explorer Mumbai.maticvigil.com. Here you can see all the transactions that actually happen, right? So as I was telling you guys, I'm able to deploy on the Matic networks as well, and it works the same as it would have worked on the Ethereum networks. I'll just run a set name. Again, it will do the signing of the transaction using the Matic networks, right? And the thing will get confirmed. Yeah, so this is how it works. This is how precise and beautifully things have happened. No code change, just the RPC URL change, and the magic happens on its own, right? So this is the best part about why this is why Arjun was telling developers love Matic, because you don't have to do, so there are minimal amount of changes and maximum amount of results with 70 to 100 TPS, and so great amount of throughput and less amount of gas required, right? So this was the first part. You can deploy on the remix. Now I'll be doing, so this is just the smart contract part, right? If you are wanting to develop a decentralized application, you use some of the tools available. For example, you might want to use Truffle, right? So next section, what we'll be doing is we'll be deploying on the now we'll be deploying on the Truffle thing, right? So this is a basic smart, this is some, Truffle package that I've used. You can use Truffle MetaCoin or something like that, right? This is a basic thing, right? It has contracts, migration.sol, our very favorite, and tutorial.sol, just a simple contract that, I have created on OpenZappelin. So this is the contract side. It has some SRC, some, front end to it, and this is all about it. Right now I have truffle.js. Currently, first of all, I'll be deploying on the local test networks, local networks. So for that, I have to do ganache CLI. Let me try to first of all do it on the local networks, right? And then we'll just change a small snippet inside the truffle.js and deploy it on the Matic networks, right? It is that easy. That's what we are trying to make you realize. That's all. So Truffle migrate dash reset. I hope you are able to see my screen. Let me increase the size a little. Okay. Is it too much? Okay. Now I hope you'll be able to see the screen. Right now it is deployed. Now let me just npm start. Npm run dev. Will start working. Right. So this is the whole picture of how this particular thing works. Now, so this is working now, right, on the test networks. Now what I'll be doing it on the Matic networks. For that, what I have to do, first of all, just go ahead and shift, just change the whole code snippet. This is the extra addition that I've done. And now I'll be able to deploy it on the Matic networks itself. So this particular code snippet, you can find it in our docs. This is our docs, and this is the Truffle part over here, Truffle, right? And here is the code snippet that I've been using, right? You can just copy this, paste it over here, right? And then we are good to go. What I have to do, again, I can just, now stop because I'm not using the local servers. I can just stop it over there and just deploy the same. So I've not changed the code. I've not changed the front end. I've not changed anything. But the code will be deployed on the Matic networks. This is so exciting and this is so easy. That's why we say that we have a good amount of adoption. So just Truffle migrate dash network Matic and dash reset. All right. Right. So this is how this whole thing actually works. Let me just have this copied and paste it over here and then run it. Have I saved? Okay. I've now saved the file. Now it will work. Source.env. All right. See, so I have not changed anything, right? I've just copied the mnemonic that was required and it gets done. I just have added some few lines of code. Let's just count 14 to 19th. That's just 5 lines of code, and I'm able to, deploy the whole decentralized application on the Truffle, on the Matic networks. You can, even, we can just copy the transaction hash and just see it on the, block explorer by Matic. You can just see this is working, right? So I'm able to do the same thing without changing the code, right? I just have to add some code snippets and your application becomes blazing fast, right? With a low gas cost and things like that. Lots of benefits coming off layer 2, right? So this is the whole benefit of being a part of the Matic ecosystem, right? So this is all, I had to show. Now the thing is, let's just, try to interact with the application deployed on the Matic networks, right? npm run dev, right? So you can see here, right? So this is the contract deployed. Let me just switch to the first. All right, it has 1200 TT, and let me just try to transfer. So, I have to be on the Matic test network to actually make this happen, right? If I have to interact with the application which is deployed on the Matic network, then I have to, do this RPC URL thing and then start, testing the Matic network, or, start interacting with the decentralized application built on the Matic network. And this is something, which causes customer friction. And that is sometimes, might lead to some kind of problem. Let's say, if I have to transfer this particular thing, I have to be on the Matic network, and then only I'm, see here, Matic testnet, and then only I'm able to, do this particular activity, so to say, right? We just reject it for now. What I'm trying to tell you, got it right. So this particular application, I have to first of all, just go here, change the RPC URL, and then I have to interact with the application deployed on the Matic network. And this causes customer friction. And for that particular thing, at Matic, for us, the decentralized application and the experience that user gets for the apps deployed on the Matic networks matters the most. And because of this particular, customer friction that might occur, we have, created a particular function for that, but which is known as the network agnostic feature that you can, include in your decentralized application, right? That is known as network agnostic transactions. I'll just give you a small demo of how network agnostic transactions work out. And, without changing the RPC URL, may you be on any network, you can interact with your decentralized application gaslessly without using, any of the gas that is required. For example, right now, if I transfer something, I'll have to pay some fees, right? This is the fees that I have to pay right now for doing any kind of transactions or, for interacting with the application deployed on the Matic networks as well. So let's just see how the network agnostic transactions actually work out. Okay. Let me just clear this first. Right. And now I'm going to the network agnostic thing. Right. So first of all, for that particular thing, we'll first of all require the relay infrastructure to actually work out. So how this particular thing works is that first of all, there is this decentralized application, and then there is this relay infrastructure. For the demo that I have used my own relay infrastructure. I have created my own relay infrastructure, but you can use one by Biconomy, or you can even use gas station networks. Right. So Biconomy has created a Mexa SDK. Using that particular SDK, the relay is already created. You can just, import that particular SDK and start using it to do gasless transactions. So what happens is that your decentralized application that is created interacts with the relay, and the relay does the transactions on your behalf on the blockchain, right? So it just uses your EIP 712 signature and put that on the blockchain, right? So you just don't have to have, gas. You just have to sign the transaction. What that means, you just need to have a public private key, and then you are done. You can, interact with the decentralized application, what you're doing with the centralized application, but with the power of Ethereum, right? So if I've done so much of, good stuff about this particular thing, let's see how this particular thing works, right? First of all, this is the relay that I've, first of all created. You can see, right? This is the relay that I've created, relay infrastructure that I've created. So first of all, I have to roll that relay infrastructure out, node server index.js. This is the relay I've created. By the way, all the code that I'm going to do, you will be able to get that. I'll give you the repo at the last of the my presentation, so that you can yourself also try it out. I would recommend just go ahead and try this particular all of the processes that I've explained, from remix to Truffle and to network agnostic features, so that you also can fall in love with Matic as I have. Right. So this is the second thing. Now, so first of all, I have rolled out the the relay infrastructure that was required. Now I will go ahead and just deploy this particular thing. Right. So open. Right. We can see here. All right. So we can see here. I just hope the network, the relay is deployed. Yeah, relay is working, and we have just rolled out our application. So you can see here. Let me be on any let me be on Ethereum mainnet. Let me be on any so to say per se. Let me be on any of the networks. Doesn't matter. Why? Because I'm using network agnostic feature of this particular whole infrastructure, which uses meta transactions. All right. So I am on Ethereum mainnet. You can see here I have 0 Ethereum. Right now 0 Ethereum. I'm on Ethereum mainnet. Let me do a transaction. All right. Let's do a transaction. Sign this particular transaction, and the transaction gets executed despite me having 0 Ethereum. You can see here, right? Gaslessly, I'm able to interact with the blockchain. If you can't believe, just go ahead and see this particular thing. Just go ahead and see block hash. This is the block hash. Let's just go ahead and paste it over here, our very own Explorer, and just see. See, the transaction got executed, right? So this is the best part about network agnostic feature. You just need a public, you just need a public private key pair, and you will be able to do the transactions very, very seamlessly without, caring on which network you are, right? So this is the best part, one of the great features of the Matic networks. Now the last, so as I told you, you can also try it on your own. These all the features. I'll paste this particular link, bit.ly/Matic network. This is the documentation. I have first of all explained you how the RPCURL is set and things like that. You can find all the documentation over here. The last thing which I want to cover is bridge, right? So if let's say you have an asset already deployed on the Ethereum network, you have an ERC20 token, you have an ERC1155 token, you have an ERC721 token, whatever the asset may be, you can transfer that asset from the Ethereum network to the Matic network using a bridge that Matic has created, right? So you can use a POS bridge or a plasma bridge. That depends, on what kind of security you are wanting. So how the bridge actually functions is that there is a predicate contract deployed by them. First of all, you will have to go to the this particular Matic this particular website. Let it open, right? Just go ahead and request a particular you have to request the mapping to be done, right? Once this particular thing gets approved, what happens is that you will just have to just go ahead and what will happen is that there is a predicate contract deployed by the Matic network on the Ethereum networks, right? So this predicate contract, so what will happen is, first of all, you will deposit CC. See here, this is this is the approve contract. Using this particular approve function, you will deposit your Ethereum on the predicate contract, right? So they will get logged in the Ethereum networks. So once these particular assets get logged on the Ethereum network, the root chain proxy manager will be sent a signal, right, by the root chain manager that we have logged these particular transactions. For that particular thing, this particular approve functionality is used. Right. Then the second thing that you have to do is do a deposit. So once the predicate contract has logged and the signal has been sent to root chain proxy manager, this deposit function will transfer your tokens from the Ethereum network to the Matic network. So your assets have been transferred from the Ethereum network to the Matic network. Now let's say you want to transfer them back to the Ethereum network. So how that exit mechanism works is that, first of all, you will burn the minted tokens that have been created on the Matic network. You will first of all burn them, and you will generate the proof of the burn on the your proof of the burn is generated. You will just go ahead and just go ahead and put that proof of burn on the Ethereum network. So what essentially would happen is, first of all, you burn the tokens on the Matic network, and then submit the proof on the Ethereum network. So you will be able to exit. So what will happen is that predicate contract will unlock your tokens that you had created, and you will be able to exit. So these are the scripts that you have to use. First of all, go ahead and map your tokens, right? Then you have to approve so that predicate contract locks your token, then deposit so that your tokens are transferred, or in other words, there is a minting that happens on the Matic network. Then if you want to exit, you can burn and submit the proof of the burn on the Matic networks. So that's pretty much it of how the whole feature works. We started with the remix and saw how breezy, easy, buttery it was to deploy on the Matic networks. Just we have to change the RPC and we'll be able to do it. Similar is the case with Truffle. Just change 5 lines of code and you're deployed on the Matic networks. Then we did something about network agnostic transactions, how to make the user experience as good as possible, giving the experience of Web 2 while being on Web 3. Then we discussed about token bridge, how you can transfer the tokens already deployed on the Ethereum networks to the Matic network using the lock, mint, and burn feature, right? So this is all about it.
Right. So that kind of just quickly covers the developer side of things, and of course everything which you've seen here, like all of this is on all of this is there on YouTube. You can check it out, and like the links, etc. A lot of the stuff I can also share. And just like how Pranav, our solutions lead, covered, like basically all the different things which you need to do to deploy your app. So for example, all the different wallets you want to use, all the oracles you have in mind, utilities, on ramps, like there's ramp, there's also transact, there are a few others which will also be integrated with us. Meta transactions, you can use by economy of gas station network, and especially using meta transactions is a great technique in which you can reduce customer friction, right? So the customer or the user doesn't need to, for example, change any network or do anything different. Like they can be connected to pretty much any network, like Ethereum network, test network, really won't matter, and they'd still be able to do their transactions. And of course, all the other tools you need to sort of make your application work really well and sort of make it live, you can do that. So I'm just going to quickly go to the next slide, and this basically brings me to the end of the presentation. I hope you've got a pretty good idea about Polygon. How easy it is to deploy applications on our network as well, and at the same time how intuitive you can make the user interface for for your users, so that they can easily come and interact with the app, so that you have the maximum chance of great of adoption. So this is kind of it from the presentation side. If there are any questions, I can sort of cover those, and yeah, and yeah, we can kind of take it from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Arjun. Yeah, fascinating everything that you guys are working on. If you have questions in the audience, definitely drop those in. One thing that came up is, are we able to get a copy of that video that you shared?
Sure, I'll just paste the link right now. Just give me like a couple minutes. I'll just do that, and yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll drop that for everyone into the Polygon channel on the Chainlink Discord.
Gotcha. I'll just do that.
Cool. One question here from Fox Rayman. When transferring tokens, who pays for the gas when approving minting a token on the ETH mainnet?
So if you're so basically whenever you're transferring tokens from Ethereum to Matic, or vice versa, from, let's say, so from Ethereum to Polygon, or from Polygon to Ethereum, essentially you are incurring a write operation on the Ethereum chain, right? So you pay for it with Ethereum transaction fees, and that is paid by the user. So for example, if you're doing that, of course, that is sort of like a one-time kind of cost. Once your tokens or your liquidity is there on the Polygon network, then of course the costs are like absolutely literally zero for doing any sort of transaction. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that. Another question from Tyler. So, which scaling solution is used by default? Is Polygon using? Maybe you can help clarify the difference between a layer 2 and side chains and ZK rollups, and kind of how Polygon
Sure.
kind of fits into all of this.
Sure, definitely. Let me cover that, right? So essentially, like I said, so in Polygon, what we're building is, like, you could say, an umbrella of, all the different L2 scaling solutions, right? So there are many different kinds of scaling solutions out there. So our current core offering, or the production ready chain, right, which has been in development for 3 years, which essentially is our sort of, on which all the dApps are deployed, is our hybrid Plasma POS chain, right? The one which sort of has a POS consensus mechanism and is extremely decentralized, and also uses Plasma technology in the sense that we commit transactions to the Ethereum chain, which is why we say that, we are an L2 solution versus, let's say, a pure side chain, right? Where,
Yeah.
like, for example, which have their own token standards, which do not have, which may be EVM compatible, so you can still use Solidity, but have no connection to the Ethereum chain. Like, for us, like I said, for us, it's important that we always maintain a connection to the Ethereum chain, because that is where your asset security comes from, right? Otherwise, as a developer and as a user, you are trusting the sidechain operator. With us, you're trusting Ethereum, right? So that is our production ready sort of solution out there. We are continuing to develop that. We will add more tooling around that. What we are also building, right, under Polygon, is optimistic rollup chains, ZK rollup chains. So we're looking at different solutions out there. I know Optimism is also talked about coming out with their own mainnet, so it's not live yet. I'm not really sure what the date is on that, but that's another interesting, way of solving for it. So also we are also, sort of researching and going to be implementing ZK rollup chains. But what we've kind of realized is, as a precursor to both optimistic rollups and ZK rollups, you need to have a highly efficient data layer, because if you take both call data and verification to layer one, then, transaction costs can sort of start increasing with time. So you need to have a data layer and then sort of build, you could say, the OVM sort of thing on that. So that's what we're doing first. We will be coming out with more details. Data layer is almost ready, so I think the tech team will be coming up with some announcements on that, and the Polygon SDK as well. So we have a production ready chain already on which you can use today, which is, like I said, even compatible. Everything is there, and what we'll be doing, let's say, in Q3 and Q4, is coming out with our optimistic rollup chains, our ZK rollup chains, and also the ability to spawn your own chain, right? And thereby sort of completing that umbrella of many different sort of scaling techniques, right? And there might be some in the future as well. Like, we don't know, maybe like 6 months down the line, there's some other new way of, scaling, and we'll incorporate that as well. So that is kind of what we are doing. And like I said, the difference between like an L2 and a pure sidechain essentially is that which of them have a connection to the Ethereum chain or not. So for example, because of a checkpointing mechanism, like, we cannot exist without Ethereum. But a sidechain can exist. Like, sidechain doesn't need anything else. So that's kind of the core difference. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for sharing that. That actually clarifies for myself too. It makes sense. So, like, all these differences, like, you kind of get it, but that really helps clarify.
No, that's a big debate, man. Always, like, is it L2? Is it not? What is L2? Like, people quoting Wikipedia. Like, I feel, it depends on what really you take as a definition. But, like, the simple, like, mental model, like I said, is that, do you need Ethereum to exist or not?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't need Ethereum to exist, then you're a sidechain, right? If you need Ethereum to exist, then automatically you become like an L2 solution.
Yeah. And so, similar to what kind of Polkadot is creating, is it somewhat similar, Polygon, in the form of EVM compatible chains?
So I would say that, in if you were to visualize it as a structure, yes. So like, what Polkadot has done is that they've created the substrate layer, right, which is like at the center, and then you have these para chains around it. So what we've done is that, instead of building something like substrate, we've taken Ethereum and put it at the center, right? Because, like I said, so Ethereum is a tried and tested technology under constant development. Has hundreds and thousands of developers, users, dApps, and we wanted to keep Ethereum at the center, and then build like an infrastructure around it, which will then take Ethereum to the next level, right? To basically give that scalability. And then thereby what happens is that you have your assets, you always have a chain where all your assets are always secure. And you also then have this scalability layer where essentially you can launch all your games, all your NFTs, all your different marketplaces, right? So for example, NFT marketplace may not do like, $5 billion in like revenue in a day, right? So we don't expect to see that. Probably a few hundred million. So something like that scales really well on L2. Gaming scales really well on L2. DeFi, like all your staking, all your farming, right? Where you essentially have to execute these heavy contracts,
Yeah.
right? So for example, if you use Uniswap, for example, like you see the kind of gas fees you need to pay. So all of this stuff, right, you can essentially take to layer two. And what I feel is that some part of the liquidity, which is for example, let's say whales, for example, who are sitting with huge amounts of liquidity, will maybe continue to keep some liquidity locked on Ethereum because
Yeah.
it's extremely safe there. And all the liquidity you used to play around with, all the spending money, all of those transaction heavy, sort of engagement heavy interfaces will then be built on layer two. Similarly, like how you have money to spend and play around with, but you also have a 401k, right?
Yeah.
which you don't touch. So it's something like that, right? So yeah.
Man, this is exciting stuff. I love what you guys are working on, and yeah, it's amazing, and to see the progress. It's great to see come to fruition and come to life. So,
No,
love it.
definitely,
Yeah.
very exciting for us as well, and then long road to go. Like I said, like this is we just scratching the surface. Your optimistic roll-up chains are gonna come, CK roll-up chains are gonna come. The data layer, right, which precludes all of this, is gonna be coming, and then all the tooling, interchain communication. So I think there's a lot. Our teams now, as we're well past 50-member team. I think we're close to 60 now. We're still hiring aggressively. So if you want to be a part of our project, please reach out to us. And yeah, and I think there's going to be so many exciting announcements coming out. So yeah, so can't wait for that as well.
Yeah, every single day there's another person adopting Polygon,
Definitely.
and you guys are announcing it with multiple a day. Yeah, it's insane. The
This
growth.
definitely, and I'm really grateful to the community, which has really so shown their love, right, and their support for us, and what we are trying to build here. I mean, when I talk about the advisors and some of the technical people, understand things maybe a couple of years down the line, I can understand them being able to grasp. And but even the users, I see the conversations on Twitter, the kind of things people are coming up with, the kind of ideas which now developers are coming up with and building, right, like all of those options, derivatives, like all of those things which you otherwise could not do on Ethereum because the cost is just so high and the throughput wasn't there.
Yeah.
Now all of those things are possible. So now that new possibilities are there, interesting, NFT plus DeFi,
Yeah.
gaming, NFT, DeFi, like
And
all
what
of
you're
this.
saying too, with it's about the usability now.
Absolutely.
You quit focusing about this stuff that you don't need to focus on, of just like be able to like, all right, like
That is
click this button.
hands down
Yeah. No,
the most important thing. So I'll just give you a simple statistic, right? Like, so we're part of Ethereum ecosystem, and we love blockchain, and we talk about it all day. We follow all the Twitter channels. Now, Ethereum in its heyday, right, when it was in its heyday, when there were lots and lots of transactions happening, gas fees were low, did about maybe 1.6 million transactions like in a day. Like Visa or MasterCard probably do that in a few minutes, right? So we are far away from massive scaling, right? And the only way we're going to get there is if you bring the focus back onto the user versus keeping it on technology. So that is kind of what's been our approach. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Before we wrap up here, is there any words of advice that you have for the hackers?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So I would say number one, it's the same as Ethereum. So like, I would say the learning curve is really low. So please go absolutely wild with your ideas. Of course, like I said, Chainlink is completely compatible. Chainlink VRF, so we've had multiple games, DeFi applications reaching out to us saying, oh, VRF is there, want to use that. So there are so many interesting things you can do now. So and from your mind, all you need to do now, basically just put that in your mind, is that transaction fees is not a problem. Transaction throughput is not a problem. So suppose you took this away, what are some of the things you could build? Like what are the possibilities now? Right?
Yeah.
Anything is possible, right? So just go crazy and just try it, right? And we are always there to support you. Any questions, anytime, you can reach us on Discord. Our devs are regularly there. The Chainlink team is very approachable, always there to answer questions. You can reach out to them as well. So I think this is going to be really exciting. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's really exciting. It's hard to like as a smart contract developer to get away from that mindset of like, okay, how do I work around like slow transaction fees? It's like, okay, now I can like build this really freaking cool thing that I've always wanted to build.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's crazy. It'll be really exciting where it comes in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years too.
Definitely.
But love what you guys are doing, and love working with your team. Really appreciate you taking the time and spending with us today. And I dropped that link into the Discord as well as into the chat of the technical part of it for everyone that's listening in. If you have questions, definitely hop into the Polygon channel on the Chainlink Discord. Hop into their Discord as well. we're both active and wanting to help. And Arjun, thanks again for joining. I really appreciate it. I know it's late for you, and appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, sure, of course. Always happy to be there. Always there for the developers. So thank you so much for this opportunity, Keenan. And yeah, let's see where this hackathon goes. Let's see what comes out of it. So,
Yeah, let's build something cool, everyone. Cool. Well,
something cool.
thanks. Have a good rest of your evening.